it's not just a lamp dimmer. Here I have fitted a jigsaw to make a bench jigsaw, and to make it more controllable. That's what I first did on the speed controller actually. So foot off the switch, so it makes it very controllable. But there are other things it can be used for, such as this disc sander. Again, this is an angle grinder off of eBay, which I've just mounted. And put on a sanding pad attachment. And this is adjustable in and out, and you can get extra pads to space this out if you want it soft. You get a whole wodge of different grade discs for about £3–4. Right, point is now is I've got hands-free access. So that's quite convenient, but there are other uses. Another sander, belt sander. Mounted on a wooden base so that I can use it as a desktop sander. I mean, these things would normally clamp to the worktop to stop things moving, but this is just a demo. So for this I'll use the foot switch and the dimmer. Okay. Two hands, that's the point. Using the end stop. So we want a bit more power on that, right? Okay, so demonstrates another use, but there are plenty more, such as this homemade tumbler, which, if I slide it out of the way, is just a vibrating sander with the pad unscrewed, and it's a dual use thing. This screws down in place of the Velcro pad, and this is just a cut off bit of funnel because you get a dead spot with a standing wave in the center, so there's no movement, whereas with the cone it moves all the way around. But speed makes quite a difference. Let me put in and let you see. I'm just going to drop some washers, nuts and bolts, any odds and ends. It'll get a bit noisy. In fact, let me get something to deaden the sound. It's just some bits of old underfelt I've kept for exactly this sort of situation. I'm going to bypass the foot switch. I don't need just notice as you hear the speed vary, the difference in the rotational movement of the items through the media. This media is just brown rice because it was cheap and it does the job. I've tried kitty litter, which is, this one was cheap, and this is actually lizard bedding, which is crushed coral, I think, shells, conch shells, but they weren't so good. Kitty litter was too soft, not so abrasive, and the crushed shells just tend to powder up. This is a lot more use, and if you get too much of it, well, you can do yourself some curry. I'll change the speed and you'll notice the rotational movement through. Let me drop this in as well, make it a bit visible. Right, here we go. And you'll notice that fastness isn't necessarily best. Maximum speed, voltage, is not necessarily best. It's the relative media movement that you're after. Enough of that. So a few hours of that and it removes all the surface rust. But this is a dry clean. The same device with a slight change can be converted into not an ultrasonic parts washer, because it's very sonic, very audible, but it can be turned into a liquid parts washer. Let me change it over and show. So here is the modified sander. You can see that you've got the coils down there, so if you're going to be doing it wet, you need to be a bit careful you're not going to get splashes. So here is the dry media bowl removed. That was this bit here. 4 screws, and in place of it I've cut a bit of plywood that fits those 4 screws, and I've used polystyrene so that I can fit a dry media, a wet media container in there, but I have different sizes. But they fit the same holder. So let me go offline while I screw this on. Okay, so here's the parts washer. Drop some bits in. Certainly need a lid. And I've got a couple of cut hooks in the side so that I can connect up rubberized cord just to keep everything in and stop there being any wet accidents. Right, well, you won't really be able to see much except for what's splashing up underneath, but if you listen for the change of the motor, then you should be able to relate that to the agitation that you'll see underneath. And again, fast, this isn't necessarily the best. That'll do. One more use in a second.